It's a long way to the top. If you want to rock and roll, you want to rock and roll? Driving on the highway, going to a show. Stopping on the byway, playing rock and roll. Getting round, getting stoned, getting beat up, getting boned, getting high, getting shook. That's all your bones. It's harder than it looks. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. If you really see the new one-night stands, try playing a rock and roll band. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll.
Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Caden Reif, and welcome back to the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series. The 2007 season continues. It's race number 31 out of 36 here from Martinsville for the Old Dominion 500 as we get set to roll for 150 laps of short track action here from Martinsville Speedway as we take you to the racetrack right away for your starting lineup in tonight's race. Marcos Ambrose in the 13 car rookie puts it on the pole here today as he starts from first with Greg Biffle's number 16 to his outside in second. Casey Mears in the 55, another rookie. He's going to start in the third position, and Kevin Harvick in the fourth spot. Justin Allgaier, who absolutely stole the Busch race on Saturday for his fifth Busch Series win this year, he starts in the fifth position in the O2 car here today, looking for a good run in his part-time Cup season. Casey Atwood in the 30, going to start in the sixth spot. Ryan Newman will be in seventh with Jimmy Johnson's 48 in the eighth position, last week's winner. Ninth is going to be the points leader, DJ Kennington, with a good starting spot, and Todd Cleaver in the 98 car rounds out the top 10. Bobby Labonte will start this race in 11th. Jeff Burton will be in 12th. Kyle Busch in the 13th position, and Casey Kane in 14th. Carl Edwards will be P15, 16th to Todd Bodine, 77. Jamie McMurray will be in 17th, and David Reagan in the 07 car. He starts from the 18th spot. Brad Keselowski will be in 19th, and John Andretti in the 20th position. 21st goes to Kurt Busch, and Juan Pablo Montoya will start in 22nd. Clint Bowyer in the 4 car, he's P23. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 24th spot. Jeremy Mayfield will be P25, with Matt Kenseth in 26th. Jeff Gordon starts in 27th, and Scott Steckley in the 6th is going to be in the 28th spot. 29th goes to Elliott Sadler, and Scott Riggs in 30th. David Rudimann's 06, he's 31st. Robbie Gordon will start in 32nd place here today. Martin Truex Jr. in 33rd. And a rough qualifying for Tony Stewart, runner-up in the championship, would really love to find his way through the field, but he's going to start in 34th spot with his championship rival Kennington all the way up in the top 10. 35th is going to be Ricky Hendrick, and Scott Wimmer in the 36th spot. TJ Bell starts 37th with Jason Leffler in 38th. Eric Norris will be 39th. with J.J. Yaley in 40th. And rounding out the field in the back row would be Brian Keselowski in the 34 and Andy Lally in the 52 as we take you to the racetrack right away. Most famous words in motorsports here from Martinsville, the command.
Drivers, start your engines.
Bit of short track action here on a Sunday as Marcos Ambrose, the surprise pole sitter here today. Martinsville, always aggressive, and it's going to be fun to watch these guys navigate this racetrack. It's always such a tough racetrack to get around. You want to be on that inside, and it is absolutely going to be a thriller today to see who comes out on top of this driver's track. The drivers love this place, and it's not much of a surprise. Ambrose in the 13, his first career Coca-Cola Cup Series pole. Gonna lead the field through turns 3 and 4 here as the pace car peels off on the left. 150 laps is your count here tonight as Ambrose is gonna lead Biffle out of turn 4. Green flag is in the air and we are racing here from Martinsville. And you saw there on the start of this race, Greg Biffle got the early jump on Ambrose. The 13 did not retain the lead off the start as a 16 on the outside pole got the jump at the green flag. He takes away the top spot. Mears moves into the 3rd position. 4th is going to belong to Kevin Harvick, and Justin Allgaier rounds out the top 5 after the initial 2 laps of this race. And Biffle starting to try to find a way to run away from Ambrose for that 13, not quite letting him out of his sights just yet.
Just a really difficult track to get around. You see these guys running every line that you possibly can see.
Kevin Harvick.
Something they...
Pardon me, go ahead.
It's something we saw a lot in the Busch race, too, with people experimenting with different lines. And we've also noticed they've been a lot more willing to pass this year than in previous years.
See Harvick getting aggressive with Mears in the 55 for the 3rd position. As always at Martinsville, battles really love to last a long, long time at this racetrack. Harvick doing his best to try and find a way past this 55. Still side by side as they head down the front stretch. Mears making good work at the exit speed. Harvick down there on the bottom is not quite clear just yet. Mears still challenging on his outside, and they still are side by side down the front stretch, but this time Harvick off and into turn 1 is going to clear that 55 for the 3rd position. Allgaier, winner of the Busch race on Saturday, moving into the 4th position here potentially as he tries to get around that Hendrick 55. Jimmy Johnson also now underneath of his teammate. You see Kennington in the 81 getting aggressive there. Johnson maybe skipping the rear tires into turn 1 a little bit. Kennington going to show the nose. Johnson forced to yield that inside line. As Kennington off to a great start in today's race in the 7th position, now into 6th as he gets past Johnson for that spot. Allgaier still in that fight with Mears for 4th. Backs Kennington back up to the 48 car as they're still side by side up in front and behind. A lot of battling here, but Allgaier finally clear that 55 of Mears as he moves into the 4th spot. Mears going to find a lane down to the bottom to keep his spot in the top 5, while Kennington not quite clear Johnson just yet as they race off into turn 1. Got 2 of his teammates behind him trying to follow him through on this 48. The Bobby Labonte and Carl Edwards in the 18 and 19 car, but neither of them able to find a way underneath of Johnson, but Kennington through into P6.
Just hard racing out here.
Without a question.
Looks like we got a battle. Looks like we got a battle forming behind. There we go.
Casey Atwood in the 30, putting some pressure on Carl Edwards in the 19 car for the 9th spot here. Nothing doing. Meanwhile, Keselowski and McMurray side by side for 12th further on back. Clint Boyer in the 4 car. See him on the bottom with a pretty good start to today's race. Cleaver went a little bit backwards outside the top 15 now in that 98 car as he sits, I believe, exactly 16th. 40 and 2 side by side. Keselowski really drove it off into turn 1 there to try and clear that 40, and it ended up working out for him as he gets past McMurray for the 12th position. 40 finds his way back down to the bottom. Meanwhile, Kennington back under fire here from Jimmy Johnson in turn 1 as the 48 not quite yielding to the points leader. A lot of side-by-side action in this top 10 over the course of this race so far. Only 15 laps completed this time by. Johnson, Kennington still side-by-side as they head through turns 1 and 2. Kennington using all of the racetrack on corner exit there. Johnson still trying to hang tight on the bottom and clear this 81, and he's going to do just that. So Jimmy Johnson moves back past Kennington for the 6th position. Kennington going to cross him over going into turn 2. Question is if he stays there going into 3, and he will. So these two continue to battle for this 6th position. Quite the show between these two Chevrolets. Really dueling each other for this inside line over the last couple of laps.
It's just so hard to make a move stick here. You're running with a guy on the outside of you, running an inefficient line for 3, 4, 5 laps at a time. Just look at how much ground they have lost to the 55 in just a few laps.
Absolutely, but Kennington now home free as he gets clear of Jimmy Johnson. No challenge from the 48. Meanwhile, up front, it's a clean race lead for Greg Biffle, who's led every lap of this race so far from the 2nd starting spot. And he's slowly starting to close in on the first lap traffic. You see the front row 34 of Brian Keselowski up the road, as well as Wimmer in the 23.
Couple of people who don't often qualify actually managed to make it into this race.
Yeah, worth mentioning that 52 car of Andy Lally. I believe this is the first race that Ware has started as a whole in this season so far. So shouts to that 52 Dodge team as they're right at the back of the field here. But Greg Biffle in the 16 going to have to find a way to start navigating lap traffic. Saw a lot of this in the Saturday Busch race, and now going to see it again here in the Cup Series after about a 20-lap run. First couple lap cars here, as it's Lally and Keselowski side by side in front of the race leader Greg Biffle, who is going to start to get to work.
And getting to work he is. Or it makes real quick work of the 52 car of Andy Lally.
Oh, Lally got into Biffle there, might have misjudged it in turn 1. 16 saved it. That was a near miss as Lally almost just spun the race leader in turn 1. That was tight.
You know, their spotter and their crew, that driver, not getting a lot of in-race experience this year, and
might be showing just a little bit as Biffle stays in line and holds serve over the 13 of Ambrose, who's starting to make up time thanks to the lap traffic. Lap number 26 now here from Martinsville. Saw a little bit of 3 wide up in front. Scott Riggs was having a bit of a rough race here today towards the back of the field, and Robbie Gordon having an even rougher race in that AT&T Chevrolet right now.
Well, you know who's not having a rough race? Marcos Ambrose.
Absolutely. We mentioned that 13 car, Ambrose got his first career pole in today's race. Of course, got caught napping a little bit on the start, did not lead the opening lap, and has not yet led a lap today. But hasn't fallen any further back. That 13 car clearly has some speed in it if he's remained in this 2nd position, ahead of Harvick, ahead of the rest of the top 5, and has continued to show promise in this race as he got very tight, probably locked up the brakes there going into turn 1. Kind of followed the 52 up the road on corner entry as Harvick is starting to show his face further back in that 20 car. Meanwhile, Mears still 4th, and Justin Allgaier still 5th as Johnson, a couple of laps ago, got back past DJ Kennington as that battle for 6th had continued, and now Kennington, man, got real tight there, had to take evasive action
Friendly
with his
fire.
teammate. Side by side now with his teammate, second teammate up here, Carl Edwards, as Gibbs really having themselves a good race. Of course, all 4 of their cars in the top 10 in this race, and of course Harvick in that 3rd position running very well here today. As the lap traffic dance party continues here, Biffle trying to find his way through these front runners. See a couple other drivers having rough races, of course. As we mentioned, Riggs not really off to the start today that he would have wanted. The 23 of Wimmer not having a great race. And Dale Earnhardt Jr., who has been on a real rough stretch over the last 6-7 races, has been about 30th or lower at almost all of them, has just 2 finishes ahead of 20th over the last 7 rounds of this Cup season. One was, I believe, a 27th, and the other was a top 5. It's been a rough stretch for this 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr., who has once again found himself well down the order and is currently in the 37th position, in danger of being lapped by this fellow Ford, Greg Biffle, still in the lead of this race. These lappers really racing each other hard back here, whether it be for the lucky dog or trying to fight for their lap back. Saw the 34 of Brian Keselowski getting aggressive with Robbie Gordon to try and take away that lucky dog position, although that's not going to be the lucky dog position in a lap or so if Wimmer ends up losing his lap to this 16. And he will do just that as Biffle clears him.
Really puts it down in there to get under the 88.
Also seeing a little bit of a dent on the front of that 88 car. Of course, damage not hard to come by at this racetrack, of course, with how tight everything is, how hard you get into these corners, but might potentially be a contributor for the lack of speed for Earnhardt Jr. Biffle laps him. Jr. fighting back just a little bit on the outside. Meanwhile, you see Ambrose in the 13 stuck on the outside of Brian Keselowski's 34 right now. Harvick hasn't made a lot of headway either in that 20, as I believe there was just some contact up the road. Yeah, another case of a lap car getting into the race leader as Dale Earnhardt Jr. tapped the bumper, and 57 of Riggs is blowing up in front of the race leaders, and that is going to bring out the first caution of the race.
Credit to everyone for not hitting him there.
Lucky dog is going to go to the 23 of Scott Wimmer, as Biffle will bring it down pit road here on lap number 38 from the race lead. Riggs loses an engine, brings out the first caution of the race. Rough day gone even worse for Riggs, as he's going to be the first retirement here today. But Biffle from the race lead is going to bring it in for tires and fuel, as does Ambrose in the 13 car, and all of the rest of the lead lap field on pit road here. And Biffle on the off the jack and away as he leaves pit road, remaining in the race lead. We'll take you to intermission here from the Old Dominion 500. Greg Biffle led every lap of this race so far and continues to be the race leader. We'll be right back. It's NASCAR on ESPN. Back from intermission here at Martinsville, and an amazing development as Greg Biffle's 16 blew up under the yellow flag, so the race leader forced to retire from the race. And that gives the lead back to the pole sitter, Marcos Ambrose, who has now led his first lap of the race under this yellow flag. But an absolute catastrophe for the 16 team, who looked like the car to beat today, and he is now out with engine trouble under the yellow flag.
I mean, that's the worst way to lose a race, too.
It'll be Ambrose, Harvick, Mears, Allgaier, Labonte, the top 5 coming back to the restart as the green flag flies. Good start for the 20 of Harvick. Not quite going to be able to find the bottom underneath the 13 here just yet. Thought about it on corner exit, but couldn't quite do it. As Ambrose retains the lead off the start, and Jimmy Johnson trying to get underneath of Bobby Labonte for a top 5 spot.
Just seems like that 13 car doesn't have a lot of...
Still tight there for that 5th position, but looking like Johnson is going to prevail in that battle, though Labonte really not giving up on it just yet. Excuse me. Continuing to fight on the outside for the 5th spot, but Johnson able to clear. Edwards, another lockup behind, opens the door for Keselowski to move towards 7th place. And want to check up on the 42 of Tony Stewart. Of course, didn't have a good starting spot. He's up to 30th at the current moment, but not a lot higher than that. And Stewart very well could be watching his championship hopes drift away in today's race.
I mean, you have Kennington drifting back and Stewart drifting forward, but Stewart's gonna need something. He's gonna need a break, regardless.
Without a question, as the top 5 continues to spread apart just a little bit. Harvick and Mears staying pretty close to this 13 of Ambrose, who is continuing to lead this race. And this is just another case of we've seen so many strong runs out of this 13 car over the last handful of races. He's been in the top 10 pretty much every race for the last 5 or so events. But whether it be bad luck or a mistake of his own doing, he's ended up being taken out of these top 10 runs over and over and over again over the last couple of weeks, and has finally started to put some good finishes together. Got a good top 10 run a couple of weeks ago, I believe. Not sure, I don't quite recall how recent it was, but Ambrose has really shown a lot of speed in that 13 car over the course of this season, especially recently, and finally putting something together, leading early here. Third of the way through this race now, and Ambrose has really found himself a golden opportunity here at Martinsville, but it's not going to be without challenge, of course. Harvick and Mears, who have also been very competitive this year. Mears trying to find a way to snap his own bad luck streak, and Harvick, who many consider one of the best in the Cup Series, also in this top group, but Mears trying to find a way underneath of Harvick for that 2nd spot there. Couldn't quite make it stick going down into turn number 1, but a challenge from that 55 no less. And caution flag is out. Wreck in turn 1, and it looks like it was Sadler and Rudeman and maybe some others. Sadler gonna dive it to pit road with heavy damage on his race car as we come around for the 2nd caution of the night. Looking like we're going to see some split strategy here. And Ambrose is going to be one of the pitters, but we'll take it back to the incident there that brought out this 2nd caution involving... Looks like Rudeman got spun, potentially by Ricky Hendrick, and nowhere for Elliott Sadler to go. Yes, it was. So another good run. This is another driver who we've seen a lot of good runs out of a surprise candidate, Rudeman in his 06 car, but Ricky Hendrick looking like he got a little impatient with him, and he goes for a spin. And Elliott Sadler appears to have chosen the wrong way to get around that wreck. In fact, he got stuck up in the wall and right in to that 06 of Rudeman. So caution out for the 2nd time in today's race. We're going to see quite a few pitters here, but also a handful of drivers are going to stay out. Lucky dog is going to be Robbie Gordon. as Ambrose in the 13 car leads the field down pit road. Tires and fuel for the race leader entering the pits. Casey Mears in the 55 will stay out to take the race lead. And field having to wait at the end of the closed pits there, and pit exit opens up.
DJ Pitt, did Tony stay out?
Worth checking on that. Looks like Tony did also bring it down pit road. So we'll take it to intermission here from Martinsville as Casey Mears in the 55 car stays out to take the race lead. Lap number 55 here from Martinsville. It's NASCAR on ESPN, and we will be right back. Back from intermission here at Martinsville as we get set to go green. Casey Mears, 55, is going to have the race lead after staying out on that last yellow flag. Justin Allgaier will restart in the second position. Third belongs to Carl Edwards. Fourth is going to be Brad Keselowski, and Kyle Busch in the 43 rounds out the top five. First car off of pit road was the 18 of Bobby Labonte, as he will be in the 15th position on this restart. Marcos Ambrose, race leader, entering pit road, is going to be in the 16th spot as we get set to go here. Mears leading the field off of turn 4. Allgaier right behind him. Green flag flies. And we are back underway as we race off into turn number 1. No moves in the top 5. Boyer is going to be the first to jump down, went underneath of Reagan's 07. It's for the 8th position for that 4 car. And for that 4 team, who have really found some success at this racetrack over the last handful of years, once again, Clint Boyer in that 4 car, finding his way into the top 10 here at Martinsville.
That car is not going to be the Fastenal Chevy next year, however, as this team is looking to be moving to the Pontiac platform in 2009.
Yeah, one of the big moves of the silly season is, my goodness, contact there for 5th between Kyle Busch and Ricky Hendrick. I'll get a look back at this as Hendrick really drove it in to turn 1 there. We've seen kind of vintage Ricky Hendrick here today from this 5 car, which honestly, some might not cite as a surprise given that we've seen Hendrick really start to come back into his own over the last couple of weeks. This 5 team, as a matter of fact, Ricky Hendrick just re-entered the top 20 in the driver standings coming into this week, something that we haven't seen him do in quite a while. A lot of top 5 and top 10 runs out of this 5 team recently. We've started to see the old Ricky Hendrick of old over the last couple of weeks.
He's just walking around with a brand new Moxie. And speaking of silly season moves, Yuki Hendrick isn't going to be in a Hendrick. He isn't going to be in a Hendrick car next year. He isn't even going to be in a Chevrolet next year. He's going to be moving into the 02 ride full time for Penske Motorsport, Penske Racing next year.
Yeah, we've seen that move, and silly season has been pretty crazy going into next year. Of course, haven't mentioned a whole lot of the contract moves going into that next season, but of course, as Braden just mentioned, that 5 car not going to be on the grid next year. Well, technically it will, but a lot of swappings going on at Hendrick. They're going to be downsizing a little bit, and Ricky Hendrick is going to move elsewhere into that car right in front of him, as a matter of fact. Justin Allgaier, who is running this car part-time this year, that O2 going to be occupied by Hendrick full-time next season, behind the O2 and his future teammate, Brad Keselowski, who is in that 3rd spot right now. But as of the present moment, Mir's still out in the lead. Carl Edwards, who had some surprise pace at Dover last weekend, finally finding some of his speed back again here in the Cup Series over the last couple of weeks. Had a great run at Dover, and once again finds his way into the top 5. Strategy or not, that 19 looking pretty quick over the last couple of weeks.
And continuing on the thread of silly season moves, Casey Mears will be in a new ride next year.
That is correct. Your race leader, Casey Mears, mentioned him, and of course, signed a contract with Roush Racing to drive the 99 car next season. So Mears gonna move over to Roush as they go upsize back to 3 cars for next season's campaign, as he will be, well, excuse me, actually not upsizing. That 99 is going to be a rebranded 17 car with Kenseth's departure from the 17 team. As aforementioned, Matt Kenseth will be moving to the Red Bull garage for next season, and we have ourselves a mechanical problem. It's Kyle Busch. And the yellow flag is going to come out for the 3rd time in today's race, as Busch with engine trouble, and he isn't going to even make it back down to pit road. So caution comes out again for the 3rd time in today's race. Mears leads the field at the yellow flag, and you're going to see this top group come in for a round of pit stop. See if anybody stays out this time. Looking like even
I can't imagine many will.
Yeah, looking like even the drivers who stayed out, or excuse me, who pitted under that last yellow flag are going to come in. Lap cars, of course, staying out. A field coming in here just prior to lap 70. As Mears, the current race leader, looking like that strategy paid off for the 55 team. We'll see if we see split strategy moves on pit road if anybody elects to take 2 tires. Looking like that's not going to be the case. Actually, never mind. Looking like 2 tires for quite a few drivers. Jeff Gordon, one of them. But 4 tires and fuel. Mears going to get off pit road in the lead regardless. So 55 is going to remain the race leader, though Harvick did take 2 tires and leaves pit road in 2nd. Couple of lap cars that remain on the racetrack. So Casey Mears, the race leader in the 55 still. We'll take an intermission here from Martinsville. It's the Old Dominion 500 here on ESPN, and we will be right back. Back from intermission here at Martinsville as we get set to go green on lap 74. Casey Mears, 4 tires, doesn't matter, retains the race lead. Harvick, the first car on 2, moves into the 2nd position. 3rd place is Carl Edwards, Keselowski in the 4th spot, and his teammate Justin Allgaier rounds out the top 5. And Braden, you mentioned it, Stewart might need a break. He got one. Kennington involved in an incident on pit road with his teammate, drops to 29th. He is behind the 42 car on this restart. Both of those drivers might be back in the pack.
He got it. He got his break. Now he needs to do something with it.
Green flag flies, lap number 74 as we get racing once again. Mears with a solid start from the lead, retains first over Harvick as they are 3 wide back there. You see Jason Leffler on the bottom of 3 wide. Jeff Gordon, who I was just about to talk about 300 and something points out of the championship in the 3rd spot in the standings, is running pretty well here with the 2 championship leaders well out of it. And a spin! Jimmy Johnson is around! And Gordon is involved in it! Caution is out for the 4th time, and Jeff Gordon gets involved in that accident. And more contact on the backstretch with the damage on his race car.
And more contact.
I think there's a lot of steering damage on that 24, and we are back under caution once again. And disaster strikes for the 24 team right as we were going to talk about it, but it was Jimmy Johnson in the 48 who just got spun by Justin Allgaier in turn 1.
Looks like the Ford caught a little damage there too.
Yeah, I just believe this is steering damage here for the 24 car in the backstretch. That car is all sorts of messed up as Jimmy Johnson got into him as well. But Gordon, absolute disaster for this 24 car. Looking like he's not going to be out of the race, but pretty big.
Oh, looking like an extended stay on pit road.
Absolutely. So that is going to take him out of this race and probably dashes any chance he had at sneaking into this championship. But it was Jimmy Johnson who got tagged by the O2 car. And wondering if there was anything between him and Johnson before that incident took place. No, it just looks like it was just side by side, and Allgaier probably just misjudged going into turn 1. Seen a lot of that at this racetrack in general, not just this year, but Allgaier got down there into the corner, drove it in a little too hard, and Johnson goes around and slides right down into the 4 and the 24. So we go under caution once again.
What was that? What was that saying we had about cautions?
They sure do seem to breed themselves. Casey Mears, despite the incidents with his teammates, is going to remain the race leader, as nobody other than the damaged race cars brought it down pit road under this yellow flag. We'll take it to intermission here from the Old Dominion 500. Casey Mears in the 55 car, your race leader. It's NASCAR and ESPN, and we'll be right back. Back from intermission here at Martinsville as we get set to go green. Casey Mears retains the race lead. Kevin Harvick still in the 2nd spot. It's Edwards in 3rd. Keselowski in the 4th spot. And Ricky Hendrick in 5th as we get set to go here. Jeff Gordon does remain in the race, I'm fairly certain. Would like to check that. Actually, no. So too much damage on that 24. He's out of today's race. It'll be 70 to go on the restart for Mears as he leads the field out of turn 4 and to the green, and we're back underway As we race off into turn number 1 once again. Hendrick out of line back there as Newman slips underneath of him. And Keselowski in the 2, trying to get past Edwards in the 19 for this 3rd position.
Made that pass look easy.
Might have overdriven going into turn number 1. Didn't quite lose that spot to Edwards. Holds him off for the 3rd spot. See the 52 of Lally on pit road. Don't believe anybody else was in the pits. They were not. He's continuing to lead. Edwards trying to mount a counterattack on this 2 car. Not quite able to do it. As they head down the back stretch. Newman got past Hendrick and completed that move into the top 5. So a good run for this 38 car. You see Allgaier fighting with Marco Zambros for the 7th position up here. That is your current first side-by-side battle on the racetrack. Todd Bodine also moving forward back there as Lally rejoins the racing surface right in the middle of this. And that really gets in the way of Allgaier here as the 52 gets right in front of him on the racing surface. You see J.J. Yaley. What a recovery drive for this 10 car, who I believe started in the 40 spot. And DJ Kennington, the 81, is on pit road. Disaster for the 81 car, who is forced to bring it down pit road, probably for some extra damage repair. And that changes the course of this championship. He rejoins the racetrack right next to the race leaders, but is going to be a pair of laps down. And the caution is out. It's Dale Earnhardt Jr. around in turn 1.
A bad break just went worse for the 81.
Caution is out for the 5th time in today's race. Casey Mears leads the field, and we're going to see some pit stops here. But Mears in the 55 is going to stay on the racetrack. Looking like almost everybody else is going to come in. 4 of Boyer elects to stay out. Lucky Dog is going to be the 31 of Robbie Gordon. So pit stops here. Race leader Kevin Harvick, or excuse me, leader of the pitters Kevin Harvick in as Mears stays out to retain the race lead. 4-tire stop here for the 20 team. Handful of others remain on the racetrack. See Ricky Hendrick. I believe that was a 2-tire stop for the 5 as he wins the race off of pit road. Lap cars going in. But Casey Mears stays out, and he is going to keep the lead. Even more importantly, keeps Kennington down 2 laps. So the 81 is going to be stuck behind him, as Mears is going to be the leader. We'll take it at intermission. It's NASCAR on ESPN here at the Old Dominion 500, and we will be right back. Back from intermission here at Martinsville as we get set to go green. It will be lap number 92 on the restart for Casey Mears, who stays out. He takes the lead. 4 lead lap cars remained on the racetrack on that last caution flag. Scott Steckley, the last of them. It's Boyer, Reagan, Steckley, and Ricky Hendrick on 2 tires. Your top 5 as Cleaver and JJ Yaley also, I believe, on 2 tires. Cleaver with a lot of damage on that 98 car is going to be in the 6th position. See how it goes for him. As we come back to the restart, Mears, who has continued to lead this race, we'll see if it works out for him, staying out under that yellow flag. The 59 laps to go for the 55 as he leads the field off of turn number 4. Kennington 2 laps down, right behind him. Green flag back in the air as we are racing once again. Kennington going to try to fight for his lap back here out of turn 2. But Mears with the runoff keeps him at bay. Stays on that bottom line. Steckley got underneath of Reagan for the 3rd spot. Moves past him. Boyer stays in 2nd. Cleaver already starting to slip backwards with that damage. JJ Yaley moves past him for 6th. 31 of Gordon, who just got the lucky dog, brings it down pit road again.
I think we're about to see in no uncertain terms just how much tires matter here.
Harvick, the first car on 4. Trying to find his way through the traffic. Cleaver trying to hang on after gaining some spots thanks to that yellow flag. With a lot of damage on his car, though. Carl Edwards right behind him. Keselowski, Allgaier. You see the 13 of Ambrose, who's had a great race from pole today. Gordon rejoining the racetrack right next to the 2nd place car. That 4 of Clint Boyer to his outside, as Steckley might have a chance to use this 31 as a pick, move into the 2nd position, and ooh, he actually got into the 31. Almost spun. Big dent on the front of his race car now, as that cuts Boyer a bit of a break. Now Reagan trying to challenge him for 3rd.
Hell of a save there for the 6.
Absolutely. Got a lot of damage on the front of his race car now. Bobby Gordon really just not going away, and this is giving Mears an absolutely titanic lead at the front of this field right now. Kennington still right on his back bumper, trying to race for one of his laps back. Still going nowhere. As we mentioned, Stewart, not a great run for this 42, but has slowly clawed his way up. He's in 25th right now. And where Kennington runs at the moment, he's 10 spots back, 35th, -2 at the moment. Boyer tried to get down in front of that 07 of Reagan, who's fighting him for this 2nd position at the moment. And JJ Yaley has moved past the 6 of Steckley and has taken away a spot in the top 5. So another great run for this 10 car coming together late in this race. As we mentioned, such a comeback drive for Yaley, who started very, very poorly in today's race. As a matter of fact, was in the 40th position to start this race. So one of the most impressive comebacks I think we've ever seen at this racetrack. And approaching 50 to go, finds himself in the top 5. Potentially might take 4th if Boyer slots in behind him here. Boyer way up the racetrack, and the 10 moves into 4th. Boyer stays in front of the 6 of Steckley for the top 5. Yaley left a lot of bottom open, so this battle is going to continue between these two. And Mears is blowing up from the race lead. The 55 car is going to be out of the race, and the caution is coming out. And the 31 of Gordon gets into him. Yaley's involved in it. Disaster for Casey Mears. Huge stack up on the backstretch. I cannot believe it. Stewart gets through it clean. Back to the yellow flag. The 07 of David Reagan has taken the race lead.
Have you ever?
I have never. What in the world have we just seen? But the race leaders are going to bring it down pit road here. And Keselowski's going to stay out to take the race lead. I cannot believe what I've just seen. second driver to blow up from the race lead in today's race. And Robbie Gordon slipped into the oil and couldn't get around him.
I believe that Pennington's gonna be your lucky dog.
Not quite sure that's the case. Looking like it's going to be the 18 car, his teammate. And looking like the race lead is going to belong to the 23 car, if I am not mistaken.
I think the 23 actually got damage in that incident.
Chaos here for Martinsville inside the final 50 laps. It is going to be Wimmer in the race lead. 5 of Hendrick in second. Atwood is third. A lot of cars who are involved in that wreck. You see Yaley's in 8th. Kennington did get one of his laps back. Is -1 now, but did have to bring it to pit road, of course, and he was not the lucky dog regardless. That is the 18 of Bobby Labonte. Was going to be waved around. So we're under yellow flag again here at Martinsville. Casey Mears is the leader. Second car to lose an engine from the lead in today's race, and disaster strikes. Couple of damaged cars. Wimmer and Hendrick are in the lead inside the final 50 laps from Martinsville. It's the Old Dominion 500 here on NASCAR and ESPN, and we will be right back. Back from intermission here at Martinsville as we get set to go green. Scott Wimmer stays out in the 23 car, and he is going to take the lead. Ricky Hendrick, thanks to a lot of confusion under the yellow flag, is going to restart in the second position. NASCAR is going to let him have that spot. Atwood third, Keselowski fourth. Jamie McMurray is going to restart in fifth. As we get set to go green, it'll be lap 108 inside the final 50 laps of this race. Still a third of it left to go or so. Tony Stewart has found his way into the 15th position. Kennington got a lap back, but he's behind multiple lap down cars. Restarts 35th on this restart. Pace car in. Wimmer now the leader. Green flag is in the air, and we are racing once again. Kurt Busch and McMurray, two teammates battling for position, and Hendrick is forced to pit. Edwards came in as well. So did Boyer. I do not believe what is happening in today's race. 3 cars, I would imagine penalties relating to the confusion under the yellow flag all bring it down pit road. Atwood is now second, Keselowski in third.
There is going to be a lot of angry team owners after this race.
Stop and go penalties for 3 cars, Hendrick, Boyer, and the 19 of Edwards. 40 to go at the line for Scott Wimmer, who has somehow found his way into this race lead. McMurray, who I believe sustained damage on pit road earlier in this race, has had that damage since about lap 50 in this top 5 as well. Allgaier's been competitive all race. He's in the top 5. Yaley, despite running into the stopped 55 on the backstretch, still in the top 10. Leffler has found his way up as well. Stewart, who has continued to slowly claw his way up through this field, has found his way into the top 15, side by side with a damaged 13 car of Ambrose for the 13th spot.
You know, I think it might be easier to list the cars that aren't damaged.
I don't believe the 84 of Montoya has been involved in any incidents today. Harvick might not have been. I don't think Leffler has either. It is a damaged car in the lead of this race. Wimmer, who was part of that wreck on the backstretch, is in the lead. Keselowski trying to find his way up into this mix. Thought he might restart as the race leader staying out there, but was not ahead of Wimmer at the yellow flag, so he did not get to have the lead. But finds his way up here. You take a look at the cars a lap down. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in the lucky dog spot right now. Edwards, the 06, the 5, all in front of the 81 of DJ Kennington right now, who's about 5 cars deep a lap down. Not looking like he'd get a lucky dog unless we got a lot of cautions and a lot of lucky breaks for him.
You know, a lot of people have a lot of things to say about this track. It's boring ain't one of them.
It's been an absolutely ludicrous race here today. And we're starting to get down into another green flag run here as Wimmer trying desperately to hold off this 2 of Keselowski, who is looking to try and run him down for what would be his first win of the year. Wimmer looking for his first win of the year as well.
Probably, I think, first win in a few years, actually.
It would be. Nothing doing in the top 5 right now. Stewart continuing to try and look for ways to get up through the field. Is side by side stuck on the outside of David Reagan at the present moment, the 07 car.
That 42 needs every point he can get this race.
51 of Norris got the wall back there. Kept it out of harm's way. You see lap car Dale Earnhardt Jr. making some headway. That 88 definitely not slow at the current moment. Stewart finds a way back to the bottom in the 14th spot. Ambrose has really started to slip backwards. He's down to 16th now. Norris has found his way into the top 15. Yaley trying to make some headway here on this run. Moving into 6th past Justin Allgaier. 30 laps to go is the count. The top 3 have really broken away. It's Wimmer, Keselowski, and the 40 of McMurray, your top group, who are in contention for this win late, barring another caution flag.
I don't think you can count that out.
You definitely can't. We've seen, I believe, 7 of them in this race. Keselowski really starting to stall out a bit behind Wimmer. We've seen lap traffic up the road. The first car is Robbie Gordon, who is pretty significantly damaged. And then after that, it's a bit of a gap up to the main pack of lap cars. Lally, Cleaver, Brian Keselowski, the first 3. They might get there, but we'll see. Wimmer just doing everything he can to hold this 2 of Keselowski off. Missed the bottom a couple times in a row. Doesn't appear like he lost too much time for it. It'll be 25 laps to go in this race. 3rd straight time Wimmer has missed the bottom. Might just be trying to run higher at the moment.
Maybe trying to save a little bit of tires for the end of this race.
Keselowski, not a great set of corners there through turns 1 and 2. Lost time to Wimmer, and McMurray picked up time on him. 31 of Robbie Gordon with that heavy front end damage is going to yield the bottom here to Scott Wimmer, the race leader. And Wimmer makes quick and easy work of the 31. Keselowski probably will do so in a lap or two as well. He is going to get underneath of Robbie Gordon going into turn 1. I believe there might have been contact up the road. That was Clint Boyer, who I believe is getting a little frustrated with how his race has turned out with that penalty. Got into the 18 of Bobby Labonte pretty hard there. Lucky that those two saved it. You saw how sideways they were, but Wimmer, Keselowski, McMurray still all within a blanket's range here, as Keselowski started to pick up some time on this 23 again. Starting to close in on the last of the lap traffic, which could be the deciding factor like it was in the Busch race on Saturday. They've got 20 laps to get there. We'll see if the leaders do end up catching up to these lap cars.
Scott Wimmer just needs to not make a mistake here.
Wimmer getting defensive on the bottom line. Keselowski has finally gotten up to his back bumper. Little bit of a mistake from the two there. Slipped up just a little bit. Might have shattered the tires in 1 and 2. 20 coming to 19 to go for the race leader, 23, and the two right behind him. McMurray maybe starting to fade out just a little bit, but as long as he can stay within striking distance, keep these guys big in his windshield, the lap traffic could play a factor, but again, I'm not sure if they're going to catch them before this race is out. Wimmer has never won a Cup Series race on a non-plate track. He has, I believe, 3 wins. It's either 2 or 3, including a Daytona 500 to his name. And he's closing in on another, but Keselowski starting to drop away from him. Inside 20 to go.
But I don't think anyone that's followed this sport for long is ever counting out that number 40 car.
McMurray already with a couple wins this year. In the 3rd position.
And he has a penchant for stealing wins late.
Could come down to the wire. McMurray putting pressure on the two of Keselowski for the 2nd position, coming to 15 laps to go here from Martinsville. Wimmer not running too much better than the lap cars up in front. I do not believe they're going to be a factor, but they're starting to show up in the frame, so it's not out of the question. Dodge, Pontiac, Dodge up front. Keselowski just refusing to go away in that 2 car. Trying to find a way.
Really big one.
Drove it into turn 1, trying to find a way to close this gap. Wimmer again defending the bottom line like he did when Keselowski was close earlier. 40, not out of it either. 13 laps to go now is the count. As Keselowski has just refused to give up on this race lead. Running out of laps, running out of time. Does Keselowski have anything for this 23? 2 drivers looking for their first win of the season. McMurray looking for an additional win this year.
Rumor seeming to run about half a lane higher.
Keselowski hard into turn 1, up to the back bumper of Wimmer, did not get underneath of him. Almost got into the back bumper of that Crown Royal Dodge. Coming to 10 to go this time here at Martinsville. Can Keselowski find a way around this 23, or is Wimmer going to hold on for this win? Keselowski locks up into turn 1. Holds off McMurray for the second position. Nine to go for Wimmer, the 23 car. Wimmer overdrives turn 1. Keselowski closes in just a little bit. Traffic ahead for the leaders.
None of these cars are driving well. I can tell you that for sure.
Wimmer again just a little bit defensive of that bottom line, trying to cover the dive bomb. Are we gearing up for another Martinsville finish, and are we gearing up for another Penske robbery? Keselowski, a great run out of turn number 4 down the front stretch. Wimmer trying to cover the bottom. Did it beautifully again. Wimmer still covering that inside line going into turn 3. Six laps to go. Can Keselowski sneak the nose under the 23? Got a little bit squirrely in between 1 and 2 that time. And Wimmer pulls just a little bit of a gap. Coming to 5 to go for this 23 car.
But everyone's noticing that 52 coming bigger and bigger and bigger into frame.
Does Lally play a factor? 4 to go at the stripe for Wimmer. Contact up the road by some of the lap cars. Nobody went around. Racetrack still green. We're at the point of no return now. A yellow flag would definitely end this race from this point. Keselowski sideways out of turn 4. Opens the gap up for the 23. Wimmer has caught the 52 of Lally, coming to just 2 laps to go. Does Keselowski have one last breath in him to try and close up? Push tight. Wimmer's out of fuel. The 23 is bringing it down pit road, coming to 2 to go, and Keselowski takes the lead. White flag for Keselowski, who has stolen the top spot. I cannot believe it! Half a lap left for Keselowski trying to bring it home. McMurray sputtering. Keselowski steals it. The 2 is going to win it, and Stewart was out of fuel as well. 2 cars your winner. Stewart finishes the race in 27th. Believe that's still in front of the 81. It will be, as Kennington is going to come home, I believe, just outside the top 30. Unbelievable!
Unbelievable, I'd even go as far as to say.
Keselowski, the 2 car, wins it here at Martinsville as Wimmer. Heartbreak again for the 23 car, as he did not have enough fuel to win this race. Unbelievable. Multiple cars in the top 10 ran out of fuel at the end of that race. Saw Kurt Busch was one of them, and of course Tony Stewart, who was in the 11th position, comes home 27th. Still gains points on Kennington, but not nearly the day he was looking for. But Keselowski finally finds his 2007 win, and in just one of the most fascinating fashions I could have possibly seen. But it definitely made sense in this race. and the 2 car wins it. Brad Keselowski, your winner here from Martinsville, and the 2 takes home the checkered flag. That will do it for coverage here of the Old Dominion 500. Chaos incarnate was this race here today. Next week, it'll be the Pop Secret 400 from Rockingham for race number 32. But on behalf of Braden joining me in the booth here tonight, I've been your host, Caden Reif. It's been a pleasure to have you along. We'll see you next time. And as always, have yourself a good one.
It's a long way to the top.